KT Ramarao garu to say a few words. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Srinivas Garu, for inviting us. Thank you, Ando-san, for joining us. Principal Secretary Jayesh Ranjan, Ma Jubilees MLA Maganti Gopinath Garu, TSI CMD Narsimha Reddy Garu, to all the distinguished gentlemen in the gathering that I know, Sudhir Reddy Garu, Bhaskar Reddy Garu, Eram Raju Garu, and there's plenty of other champions and doyens of the industry, Hyderabad and Telangana industry. My compliments to all of you and also to my friends from the media. This is indeed an excellent occasion to celebrate, and that's the reason why we wanted to make it happen sooner, Srinivas Garu, because the world at large and especially post-pandemic, all of us need more and more infusion of positive news and good news. So Daifuku coming to Telangana and setting up a brand new factory with 450 crores of investment, providing employment to 800 people, 800 plus people, was indeed something that we wanted to celebrate. So my compliments to you, the entire team of Daifuku, on choosing. You made the right choice, I can tell you. You've chosen Telangana and Hyderabad, you've made the right choice. But just a couple of things, the Srinivas Garu seems to be a huge champion of the manufacturing piece, manufacturing ecosystem. I think there's plenty of industrialists in the audience who also are champions of manufacturing ecosystem. Before I came here, I had a meeting with the new US Consul General who's come to Hyderabad, Jennifer Larson. So she asked me a very interesting question. She said, what do you think about manufacturing? What do you think about services? What do you think about the primary sector? And as an industries minister, you need to obviously give me your perspective, your state's perspective, and how do you see this landscape changing over the next few years, next few decades? So one of the things I told her, whoever I meet, wherever I meet, whichever industrialist, whichever potential investor that I meet, they have a renewed enthusiasm towards setting up a manufacturing base in India. Especially post the pandemic, post-COVID, where the world has realized that there is too much dependence on China for everything, for bulk drugs, for medical supplies, for everything literally. And when the supply chain was disrupted, I think every single industrialist, be it small, micro, medium or large, was affected in one way or another. So the world has started really thinking about this excessive reliance and excessive dependence on China. You talk to the biggest of the biggest players, the Fortune 500 companies or even the smallest of players, they all tell me the same thing. They all tell you that there has to be a China plus one strategy. You can manufacture in China for China, but for the rest of the world needs, we need to start looking at other bases. Now, because we are similar in terms of our sizes, China and India, 1.4 billion people, 1.4 billion people. So in terms of the workforce, in terms of think force, people will draw that oversimplified comparison and say, if we are moving away from China, a logical thing to go to, logical place to go to would be India. But when a lot of overseas investors, be it Japanese or Americans or Europeans, they ask me, if China is able to do a few things in a certain way, why can't India do it? I only tell them one thing. China is a country which is very homogeneous, which is very unique in terms of how it is structured, in terms of how it is controlled, in terms of how it is administered. But India is very different. India is a democracy to begin with. India is not one, but there are 28 different Indias, if you ask me, because of the federal structure we have. Each state is so uniquely empowered. The makers of our constitution had envisioned India as a union of states. So therefore, each state, and especially the gateway that you choose to enter India through, will determine your impression of India, will determine how easy you find doing business in India. That's the general thought I leave with any of my potential investor. Having said that, when I travel and when I